Joining me now is Matt Tardio. He's a former veteran. He's also a broadcaster in his own right. He joins us now. Matt, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me again.
Here's a headline that we've been discussing tonight from Revolver. Disturbing details emerge. Was Brown you another Charlie Kirk-style assassin? We already played tonight the audio and video from Mark Halperin, who he says people are telling me that the Brown University attack was targeting Ella Cook, a prominent conservative on campus. She's also described in some publications right here, Life News. Brown University shooting victim Ella Cook remembered as a conservative Christian. And then you put out today on your X account that there seems to be plenty of footage. Here you go. Here's you. Brown University shooting. There's a security camera directly outside the most probable entrance that the shooter would have used. Was this not activated? Tell me what you think's going on here.
Yeah, it certainly appears at this point, when I take a look at the security footage that they did release from the route that the shooter had walked, that he was definitely cased in the area. It looks like the day before, but that the shooter also avoided the target building itself. So he knew this incident was going down there in that particular building. Witness statements came out. One guy said that he heard 5 shots being fired inside of the building. Another witness says that the shooter walked in, locked eyes with him, and immediately, just started shooting. There is information that says that she was shot in the face and that her family had came out and stated that, the law enforcement authorities have told them that she was, in fact, the target of the attack. Just moments ago, I think maybe an hour-ish ago, announcements started to come out that a Jewish professor from MIT, which is about an hour and 15 minutes or so away from Brown University, was shot in his home on Monday night. And he just died in the hospital this morning. What I see when I look at this situation here is that there is a growing issue inside of the United States of America. This, to me, is definitely a targeted attack that ended up taking place over at Brown University. There's not a doubt in my mind that this was a targeted attack, likely from somebody that was affiliated with the university in some way, either a professor, intern, student, somebody that was very close, and also that they got out of there pretty quick. So they're well familiar with the area. They didn't need to case the building itself, but they needed to look at like the potential areas and the routes out of that area. And even had it confirmed just a few hours ago that there's a particular building that's about 200-meter walk away from the building itself where the shooting went down, where they had heavy police presence just the other day, and it's since been reduced down to 1 officer. So that's indicative that they're locking down a crime scene and trying to control it. So it is potential that that individual that's pictured right there in that video was, affiliated with that building as well, or that they're pulling more evidence out of that location. They're just waiting potentially for warrants. I have no idea what it is that they have going on, but this individual, in my opinion, is definitely affiliated with there, had an intent to go in there and to shoot that at least Ella. And I feel like the other people were innocent bystanders.
The other people were innocent bystanders. Very interesting. Do you think this is something related to Iran, if you had to guess?
No. I don't think it's related to Iran. I think it has to do with how we've been pushing the radical Palestinian agenda here in the United States of America, the radical Muslim agenda here in the United States of America. Those people that tend to go on the side of Palestine, just like we saw over in LA yesterday, with the announcement of the radical group that's affiliated with the pro-Palestinian movement that planned on planting 5 separate IEDs outside of 2 separate buildings. Again, violent pro-Palestinian group looking to globalize the Intifada. And that's what they've been out there shouting and saying on the streets. And I don't think it's a coincidence that this ended up taking place what is it, 10 hours or so before the attack over inside of Australia. I really don't. I think that this is a targeted attack, and then the incident from Monday night likely was targeted as well. And I honestly wouldn't be shocked if they were connected.
Did you have a chance to read, if you go over to worldviewtube.com, did Logan send you my article today under news?
I don't believe he did.
Okay, here it is right here. The Turtle Island Liberation Front. If you go to worldviewtube.com, then click on the news. The Turtle Island Liberation Front, a frontline assault in the worldview war against America. And what I basically did is I talked about this group that is really, it looks like a Marxist organization that is very much, I think, and I write about it in the article, similar to the Weather Underground that I've written about and talked about for so many years. Here's their 1974 manifesto, Prairie Fire. where in this document, they're praising Mao Zedong, the CCP. They're praising the Palestine Liberation Organization, PLO. They're talking about colonization. The same rhetoric we hear coming out of this group, the Turtle Island Liberation Front group. I talk about in the article La Raza, a group that I've been warning about on my website since 2008. They're basically things California, New Mexico, Arizona, all need to go back to Mexico. We've got to give that land back.
Yep.
It seems like what we have now is, as Andy and I were talking about, Andy Cyrus on radio today, is not just the red-green axis, the red being the Marxists, the green being the Islamists, but what she says comes out of Iran many years ago, which is now a black-green. The black is everybody, not just the Marxists, but now we're going to add in anyone and everyone, the LGBTQ agenda, the feminist groups, the immigrant groups, the fascist groups, the Nazi groups, the Marxist groups. So you don't have to be the red, a Marxist. You add it to a black-green axis. And what she is warning about, as well as even Kash Patel has warned about these groups that he is referring to as nihilistic, violent extremist. And basically you get the green, the Islamist, to do some of the attacks. You get some of the black to do some of the attacks. Some of the black might attack the enemies of the Islamists. Some of the Islamists might attack some of the enemies of the black side. And you might even attack people and then yell out, a common Arabic phrase to confuse the living daylights everybody as to who was really doing it behind it. But it seems though this is really ramped up. When you start looking at what happened with Charlie Kirk, what we have with the killing of the two young people coming out of the building there in D.C. at a Jewish event who were Messianic Jews, according to people that we've interviewed, one who had dinner with the young lady. People that knew the young man said he had converted to Christianity, was a Messianic Jew. We have the killing of this Ella Cook. I mean, we just keep going down the line of people that are being taken out. And it appears to be, though, whether it's also, again, the Islamist attacks in America, this would-be attack that was foiled, what's going on in Australia, there seems to be there's an orchestrated now plan on global scale that's obviously here in America as well. What do you make of this? That someone has pulled the pen, somehow, someone gave a video or something that was a triggering message to let these begin and to escalate. And do you think they're going to escalate?
So you're looking at, the Hanukkah obviously starting this weekend, and then are they going to escalate? The answer is yes. They are going to continue to escalate. The United States government opened up something called the Foreign Malign Influence Center to keep track on such a thing. Iran has been named as such an organization that's contributing to providing mis and disinformation in the United States of America. So is Russia, so is China. So we're aware that they're doing these things here in the United States. And what they'll do is they'll find some hot button topic that's over here in the United States of America that's already divisive. And this goes pretty much in any, how do you want to say it? Like psychological operations manual that's out there. You find a void and you find an issue in that particular area that you want to destabilize, and you just pour fuel on that fire, right? You just sit there and you just pump it and you pour fuel on it. And as we've seen across social media, whether it be TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook, even like across all of these different platforms, what we're seeing is a bunch of different accounts that are coming out and they're pushing a certain agenda, and certain accounts, guys such as, oh Lord, what's his name? The guy that started the GoPro movement, Nick Fuentes, right? You look at the ratios that are on his account, and they're being pumped up, right? So he's got certain bots that are going in and actually trigger them. And at the same time, they're using lesser bots that the system can detect that's actually suppressing kind of like the conservative side of the narrative. And a lot of the liberal narrative that's being pushed out there, especially when it comes to the Palestinian and the Muslim movement and all of that stuff, a lot of it is false misinformation and, more importantly, disinformation for what's coming out. So they're not even twisting the narrative; they're flat out lying about what the narrative is. And our foreign adversaries know that they can't beat us in a head-on-head war, right? They know a near-peer conflict they're going to lose any day of the week, whether that be Russia, China, or Iran. They don't stand a chance, right? But what they do know is that they can do things such as this and destabilize us from within and essentially collapse the country. And so when you're talking about the U.S. dollar being weak, when you're talking about what's going on in the gold and silver market right now, when you're talking about all of these other things, these are signs that the United States is very unstable in the dollar. And then when we have this political divide and we have these different things that are going on, these different targeted attacks that are taking place, and they ended up getting pumped up and pushed out, that also starts to embolden people that might not act. you take a look at, some of the people, it certainly appears as if there's a transgender on the list from the Turtle Island Liberation Front. Charlie Kirk shooter looked like he was in love with possibly a transgender individual. And we can go on and on as we go through this. I saw a picture of the potential suspect from Brown University, and it looks very similar. And again, pro-Palestinian, potentially, I'm using the word potentially here, potentially transgender. And what these people do is they get recruited online. And by the way, the January 6th pipe bomber as well, when we take a look at that individual. And so this is something that's been going on for a very long period of time. They take these disenfranchised people and they pump them full of propaganda. They pull them over to a certain side where they feel like they're a member of something. They give them a bunch of disinformation. And once they get them off to the side, then they're able to easily start pushing them some more of this radical stuff. And depending on how they respond to that, they might start tasking them out, or they might link them up with other people. And all of this can be done from, thousands of miles away.
What do you make of this new footage? I guess we've got new footage out now. Investigators have released reportedly new footage. Let's see what we got here. New video image of person of interest. Here we go. ABC News. Here we go.
Authorities sharing new surveillance videos and the clearest images yet of a person of interest in the Brown University mass shooting.
The sooner we can identify that person, the sooner we can, I think, blow this case open. But that's work that has to happen in the next 24 to 36 hours.
The individual seen here just hours prior to Saturday afternoon's deadly rampage, masked and wearing dark clothing, crossing the street in a residential area near campus. Later that day, police say a gunman armed with a 9mm handgun entered the Barris and Holly Engineering Building and fired more than 40 rounds into a lecture hall as dozens of students were studying for finals. 2 students killed, 8 others remain hospitalized.
We want to see the individual that pulled the trigger on these young kids.
All right, now I don't want to name any names because I don't need a lawsuit. But there is a picture of a guy I think he's wearing a keffiyeh. And apparently, according to news reports, that the Brown University is deleting articles and different things about this individual. Again, I don't want to name him because I don't want to get sued. Let's let let it develop and see what happens. But what do you make of this? Are you hearing that there are articles and things by individual being deleted off the Brown University website? Is that true or false?
That's true. He is deleted off the university website. His X account was also taken down along with several others. And not only was he wearing a keffiyeh, it looks like the body mass and the height kind of aligns with the individual that they ended up showing in those security videos, along with the fact that the individual was wearing glasses. So I think there's a lot of weight to that accusation.
And obviously, if we're talking about it, the police know about it, right?
Oh, fact. Yeah. Yeah. And I've got pictures of him at a pro-Palestinian rally and several other things, which is why I say he might actually be transgender, because I saw something that made me think that.
Okay. And again, we're not accusing anyone. We're not naming anyone. We're just talking about it in general terms. These are our opinions and our beliefs and commentary. Right. So trying to cover ourselves legally. Let's see as this flushes out. What else are you watching in conclusion here? What do you want to tell the listening audience about 2026? What, as a person from military background, knowing the enemies that are here, the cells that are here, we still don't know where these 60 to 100,000 Chinese military-age males are. We got what's going on in Venezuela. That seems to be an awful lot, not so much about drugs to me. Maybe you think it is. I think it's more about
Russia
Iran.
and China.
Right, exactly.
Russia, China, and Iran.
Exactly. All being there right in our backyard. What do you anticipate for 2026?
I participate the propaganda increase, which is going to cause more attacks like we're currently seeing. A reason I think that is because Trump is a very polarizing person, and that it's very easy to provide misinformation, disinformation. AI is taking off to a level that we've never seen before. Even with the shooting over at Bondi Beach, we saw within 24 hours, we saw fake information, fake photos coming out of what was purported to be crisis actors, putting on makeup and Band-Aids and pouring blood on them. And they're all AI generated photos. None of that happened. There was a narrative to be pushed that it wasn't Muslims that were targeting Jews. And that's completely and totally false. There's a Jewish celebration that was taking place on the grass right there. They have it every single year. And it was about 50 to 75 meters away from where the shooters were standing at any, given point in time. And so things like that, the narratives like that are going to continue to get pushed in order to divide the country. You got to understand, the goal of these attacks has absolutely nothing to do with instilling fear in people in the United States of America. And it has everything to do with pushing our politicians and pushing the citizens of this country to divide further, to shut our government down, to throw us deeper in debt, and to cause chaos and confusion while they continue to do things, behind our backs. India, for example. Good old member of BRICS. India, for example, ended up cashing on a bunch of silver certificates this last month over at the LBMA, and the United States government COMEX ended up having to fly silver out there in order to keep them from defaulting. You look at the LBMA or you look at COMEX defaulting on something like that, U.S. dollar's done. We've got huge issues when that happens, and they're doing this stuff. They're doing it on a wide scale. So I think their goal is to keep our attention here on the home front. I think their goal is to keep us divided here on the home front so that they can continue to do the operations they're doing.
Here's some footage. FBI have just released new timeline video footage detailing the movements of a suspect that they want to talk to. This is like a 6.5 minute video, so we won't watch the whole thing, but apparently they're releasing all of this video. You would think, by the way, with the way the person is walking, their gait. I mean, I've read for years that your gait, the way you walk, is very unique to you, just like a fingerprint.
Correct.
You would. Is that true? Is that a true statement?
That's a very true statement if you think about it. Well, I mean, guys in the military, we're used to being around the same people all the time, and we see people walking with night vision on. We can pick them out from a mile away and be able to tell exactly who they are. But yeah, that gait is very, very unique to him for his body mass and everything else that he has going on. The length of his legs, the length of his torso, all of that. It's very, very unique to the individual. So it's almost like you said, like a fingerprint.
Mm-hmm. So you anticipate they'll have an arrest probably pretty soon. Is that what you're thinking?
No. I think it might take him a while to find the guy. I think he skipped town and he's moving, but they're going to catch him. It's just going to take some time.
All right. Anything else that you want to bring to the attention of the audience that you're covering and talk about on your show or your different socials or Substack that I haven't asked you about?
No, sir, not that I can think of. Just focusing heavily back here on the homeland because of all the different terrorism stuff that's going on back here. I wouldn't want people to be afraid of the Afghans that are back here in the United States. Let the U.S. government do its job. Let them figure it out. I don't think the Afghans are going to end up, being deported at large. But I do know that there was a fair amount that ended up coming into this country that shouldn't have been here, that had photocopied paperwork from somebody else, and the State Department ended up just kind of like looking over it and throwing them out into society. But a lot of those guys, people such as myself had signed our name to and said, these are good, honest human beings and they deserve to be in this country. And I think those individuals that we signed our names to, should have an opportunity to live here in the United States. They've proven themselves, certainly to myself and my friends, but the people that ended up lying and working their way over here, they're a threat, they're a danger. It's a huge issue. Don't just assume that every single one of them are terrorists. It's just simply not the case. A lot of them are good, hardworking human beings that put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, on the ground over there for this country. And if we signed our name to them, they're good people. The other people that ended up working their way in here, I have no idea who they are, and I want them gone.
What should families be doing to prepare for what you think is coming on our soil?
For what's coming? Look for truth and look for, what I would do is I would look for truth, look for information. And, as far as preparing goes, I'm a Christian. I think, keep heavy in the faith. Whatever happens is going to happen. It's going to be all right at the end of the day. But to keep your family safe and everybody else safe, if you're preparing for it right now, it's probably too late. Just to be perfectly honest, I would never recommend anybody could just go out and buy a firearm and carry it around if you don't have the proper amount of training. A lot of the times you're going to end up doing a lot more damage than good. But just do basic things, lock your doors, pay attention out in public. If you don't have to be, don't be around large crowds, keep an eye on your surroundings, pay attention to your surroundings, right? Paying attention to your surroundings is going to be 10 times more effective than anything else. I call it proactive self-defense. And so if you are proactively looking out for yourself, you're proactively paying attention to the area that you're in. If you're going into Walmart, if you're going into a shopping center, if you're going to a fair, take a good, honest look around it. Go do some research on the internet. Make sure that you're not driving into the middle of an anti-ICE rally or a pro-Palestinian rally or anything of that nature. Just stay clear from all of that stuff. There's no need to be anywhere around it. Just take a little bit extra time, 5 minutes out of your day before you decide to go somewhere, and double check on all these different events.
Like we have when we promote satellite phones, We promote solar generators. We promote and have freeze-dried food, water filters, basic stuff in case there's interruption. You agree with all that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Having a good ability to get water, having food on hand, things of that nature. If COVID taught you anything is when people go into panic mode, it's not really the system that's going to end up shutting down, that's going to cause harm to you. It's people going into panic. So I would just advise people not to panic and be kind, right? Be kind to your neighbor, be kind to those around you. What we saw during COVID was absolutely disgusting. People just going in and hoarding baby formula, hoarding even everything down to, hand sanitizer, charging $80 a bottle on eBay, things of that nature. I mean, don't do those things, right? Just be a good human being. You're going to be okay. The system is going to continue to work and you will get by.
All right. Excellent advice. Here is his X account. Follow him at AngerTab, Matt Tardio, former military special forces guy and now a broadcaster and great guest all around. Matt, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me again.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Matt Tardio checking in. Follow him on X at AngerTab, and we'll be right back after this short break.